Protesters would go, but many are on the streets, and now the hope is that it doesn't turn in any way violent. For that, we check in with our Graham Johnson once again in downtown Seattle at Westlake Center. Graham.
And Steve, right here at 4th and Pine, you can see we have the crowd now on their feet. They had been lying in the street a short time ago, but now they are here and talking a little bit on a bullhorn. I can't hear what is being said from here, but at some point they are expected to be on the move. They were away from me. They had been sort of traveling around a few block area away from me when the news actually came down of the decision. But it was interesting because I did speak with another organizer we were chatting about this, and I said, you know, any thoughts here yet? And she had actually thought, she said that they had already figured that this would be the decision, that he would not be indicted. And so there really wasn't, at least that I've witnessed, a real moment or outburst, anything like that when that news came in. So I want to show you, though, behind me we do have, I'm not quite sure exactly what's happening there. My photographer just sort of pointed me to the middle, and I'm not sure, but everything is staying fairly peaceful here, which is very peaceful, we should say. But you can see all of the police officers who are here. Again, these are the bicycle officers you often see downtown. Spin the camera real quick, though, if we can. I want to show you down Pine Street because, of course, there's a traffic impact whenever you block an intersection like this. And you can see we do have some vehicles who are stuck here now, and they're moving this Metro bus up. I'm not actually sure where they're going to do with it, quite honestly, but anyway, we're going to continue to keep an eye on this unfolding situation. But you can see, but as you look at these signs here, things like Seattle police have blood on their hands, messages like that. I see lots of names. John T. Williams is a name on that poster board, of course, the Native American woodcarver who was shot dead by a Seattle police officer a number of years ago. So this is a very passionate crowd on a very anxious issue, and right now they are right here at 4th and Pine.
Yeah, and Graham, we should mention Bob McCullough, that's the St. Louis County prosecutor who announced that there would be no charges filed against this police officer, is still talking right now, still explaining how the grand jury reached that decision. But we are going now live to Ferguson. This is out on the streets. These folks are not waiting to hear more from that prosecutor. They have started to march. They have started to take their message to the streets. And this is a live camera from within that march right now. Our producers were also telling us that just a few minutes ago, several of those people walking down the street were doing so with their hands above their heads. Of course, they are mimicking what they say Michael Brown was doing when he was shot, which was to raise his hands in surrender. And they continue to make this passionate statement in the streets of their own city. One thing we have noticed in some of the other live pictures is how unmilitarized the police appear at this point. And remember, that was one of the flashpoints early on after the shooting. Now this is coming to us. These are pictures from New York, is what this particular graphic says. So again, protests going on all over the country right now in response to no charges being filed against Officer Darren Wilson. But again, the lack of the military style equipment that officers had in the Missouri area. Tonight it was just police and state patrol there. Okay, people on the move also here in Seattle. Nick McGurk, let's get back to him in downtown Seattle. What's going on behind you there, Nick?
I'll tell you what, I just heard people shouting, being black is not a crime. I asked the event organizer, the demonstration organizer, and I want to show you this behind me, what's next? And he said, I am not sure yet. This is clearly a fluid situation here. I want to have you listen in. So we do know that they are expected to move at some point. Right now it is peaceful. People are speaking their minds, and they're certainly loud out here, blocking traffic here in the Westlake Park area. Monique.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nick. And as those folks are trying to make their statement, we are getting word of an official statement from the Brown family. As we look at these live pictures, these are live pictures from Ferguson that we're looking at, the crowd that has gathered outside that courthouse. Here is the statement now from the Brown family, and it goes, "We are profoundly disappointed that the killer of our child will not face the consequence of his actions. While we understand that many others share our pain, we ask that you channel your frustration in ways that will make a positive change. We need to work together to fix the system that allowed this to happen. Join with us in our campaign to ensure that every police officer working the streets in this country wears a body camera.
we respectfully ask that you please keep your protests peaceful. Answering the violence with violence is not the appropriate reaction. Let's not just make noise, let's make a difference. This coming from Leslie McSpadden and Michael Brown Sr., the parents of Michael Brown, the teenager who was shot and killed in Ferguson, Missouri in August.
We also heard a call from that family earlier today. They said that after this announcement was made, they were also calling for 4.5 minutes of silence. They said that that would represent the 4.5 hours that the body of their son lay in the street untended after what happened. They have been asking for peaceful protests this entire time. You have just heard Steve read their formal statement after hearing that there would be no charges filed against the police officer in this case. And as we look at these live pictures now in Ferguson, we are seeing, Steve, that is a large gathering, and so far it is peaceful.
Very much so. And again, as we talked about a few moments ago, police have really taken kind of a stance back. They have put barricades up around the courthouse there in Clayton, Missouri, where the announcement was made at the courthouse. However, so far we have seen no one try to breach those barricades. We see them, as you said, Monique, they appear to be quite peaceful, probably very similar to what we're seeing here. Speech making, some statements being made, and perhaps the group being involved as well in some of those statements there in Clayton as well as here in Seattle.
Of course, this happened in Missouri, but this has been felt across the country, and this has really picked at the wounds of, in many communities that feel like they have a tough relationship with their police forces. But like you said, Steve, it is a relief so far to see peaceful protest right now. Let's see if that is still the case here in Seattle, actually, where we have crews down at Westlake Park. And Graham, you are there with a protester, and what do they have to say?
Well, I want to get some insight, Monique, from someone very concerned about police brutality, Cynthia Wetzel with the October 22nd Coalition. Tell me, first of all, what is your thought as you hear that there has been no indictment of this officer?
Well, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, this has been the whole history of what happens when cops murder people, and there's hardly ever been any kind of indictments or in the hundreds and thousands of people that have been killed in the history of the U.S. It's very rare that there's ever an indictment, so it doesn't surprise me at all.
You were telling me a moment ago about how this is a moment here for this country. What do you want to see come out of it?
Well, there was a big moment when the people of Ferguson bravely stood up in the face of the armed might of the U.S. military and said, "I defy you. I am not..." Michael Brown's life mattered. It matters. They left him in the street to rot for 4 hours, and people are inspired by that all over the world. We will not be an indictment, and there has to be justice. There has to be.
So tell me,
it's going to cause, it's going to cause people to have to make sacrifices and change their lives to be out in the street with us. People need to be pouring in the streets everywhere around this.
And tell me what you are expecting tonight. Will this protest stay nonviolent as it is now?
Well, yeah, we're here to make a statement to the world. It's the police and the military in this country that are committing the violence against people every day. The police, almost every day, the police murder somebody now. Every 28 hours, a black person is murdered by the police.
Cynthia, thank you. I appreciate it very much. We are, of course, keeping a close eye on what's happening behind us. People gathered at 4th and Pine. Monique and Steve.
All right, Graham Johnson, thank you very much. Murdered is legal terminology.
Right.
Killed by police is one thing, murdered is something else. But again, protesters certainly have their opinions about what is happening here this evening, and happens every day in cities all across the country. Nick McGurk standing by with more protesters there in Westlake Park. Nick?
Steve, Mohawk Kuzma organized the protest. Mohawk, I want to ask you...
As you see, it's like the cops behind you. They get away with everything. So basically, relating to the indictment, we didn't get justice tonight. Basically, they treat us like they treat all cops with immunity. They do illegal stuff.
When you say us,
they can punch us. They can kick us in the freaking nuts, and we wouldn't feel it.
what's next for this group tonight?
It depends upon where the motion of it's going, but it all depends. It's really a fluid moment, group, and it's a fluid decision.
All right, well, thank you, Mohawk. We have seen this group circle the block. We saw them lay down on the ground in solidarity with Michael Brown, and now I hear them shouting, "This is what democracy looks like." We're going to continue to be out here gathering interviews and reporting live as it warrants. For now, live in Westlake Park area, Nick McGurk, KIRO 7 Eyewitness News.